Hi there and welcome to the Dietary Restriction Kitchen. I'm Nat Ryan. Today in the kitchen I'm going to show you how to make a classic pumpkin pie filling. That is, but in our case we're going to make it dairy free. Now I like to bake it in a gluten-free pie crust. But to be quite frank with you, I am not good at making pastry. Even before I had to be gluten-free, I really wasn't good at making pastry. My mom, who is an expert at making pastry, tried several times to teach me, and I'm still struggling with it. And so it's a work in progress, and nobody needs to see that. So what I like to do is I just like to get pie shells from the supermarket, and some of these, like, you can get some gluten-free ones. They usually come in packets of 2. For our purposes, we're only going to use 1 out of the package today, but it's going to be simple to do and very delicious. So let's get started on that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take our pie shell out of the package, put it on a baking sheet, and let it thaw at room temperature for usually about 15 minutes or whatever time that the package gives you for the directions on the back of the package. And then we're going to give it a poke in a few places at the bottom. That just lets a little bit air out. And in the case of a pumpkin pie, I know it's baked with the filling in it, or anything like custard or anything, a lot of the packages suggest that you bake it off, like partially bake it first. So that's what we're going to do with this right now. So what I'm going to do is pop it in the oven. Sorry, I'm just moving my camera back so you can see me. I'm going to take the pie shell and put it in the oven put it right in there, and I'm going to bake it for 12 minutes. So that's just a partial bake, and then we'll do the rest of the steps in just a moment. So the first thing we're going to start with for the pumpkin pie filling is an egg in a fairly large bowl here, and we're just going to give it a light beating with a whisk. Of course, you could use a hand mixer if you wanted, but you don't really need to. I'm going to start with that. Then we're going to add all our other ingredients to that. And what we're going to start with is, or continue with, I should say, is some pumpkin pie. I'm not pumpkin pie filling. We are making pumpkin pie filling. We're going to continue with some pumpkin puree. So there we go. A little bit distracted this afternoon, so you have to bear with me. And I'm going to add that in, give it a stir, give it a whisk together, and then I'm going to add in some packed brown sugar. So we're going to add that in there. Okay, so get the packed brown sugar in there. Looks pretty thick right now, but we're gonna thin that out here in a minute. So that we get the packed brown sugar in there. We're gonna get some spices in there. That's cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and ginger. And there is a little bit of salt as well. I've got them all in together. And we're gonna put that in there. There we go. Give that a stir. And the last thing to go in there is some light coconut milk. Now, I got the light coconut milk in a can. A lot of the time when you open the can of coconut milk, it'll be separated. So what I like to do is put it in a separate bowl and give it a whisk together to make sure it's all mixed up together again. And then I, can use it, right? Because straight out of the can, a lot of the time it's all separated out. So there we go. I'm going to add that, mix it all together, and there is our filling, ready to put into the pie shell. Okay, so we've got our pumpkin pie filling made up, and we've got a pie shell that was pre-baked. And it's cooled off. We need to let it cool first because we don't want to dump like cool filling into a hot pie shell. So we're going to pour that in. And we want it to be quite up there like that. There we go. And it's quite liquidy at this point. But anytime you make pumpkin pie. That definitely happens. So there we go. I'm just getting that little blob off. And then we're going to bake that. So now I'm going to take the pumpkin pie and, well, the filling is in the pumpkin pie shell. We're going to put it in the oven and we're going to let it bake for quite some considerable time. The pumpkin pie, the filling, it's very liquidy. It takes a while for it to do its thing in there, and it can take upwards of 45, 50, or even a full, or even 60 minutes, or even a full hour. What I will do is to check it at 45 minutes, and we'll check it with a cake tester to make sure it's not all gooey and gunky, like not still liquidy and not gooey and gunky. If it needs to go back in, we put it back in, and incrementally for 5 minutes after that, because you want it to be set. You want that center to be set, you know, the filling to be all nice and set, but not too dry either. So it's a real fine line with that. But that's the only real tricky part about making pumpkin pie, is just to make sure that that filling is set properly. And that's it. But otherwise, it should be great. And I can't wait for it to come out because it already smells good. Oh my goodness. So can't wait for that. Okay, so it's been 45 minutes since I've had the pie in the oven. I've just taken it out. And I want to give it a check here. And I'm putting the tester in. And now that's pretty gunky at the end. I don't know if you could see that. But it's pretty gooey and gunky at the end. So that's going back in for another 5 minutes. And then we'll check it again. Okay, so I have had this in, the pumpkin pie. I've had it in the oven 2 more times for 5 minutes each. So it has now been a grand total of 55 minutes since I began to bake the pumpkin pie. And I put this in and it's coming out clean. I put it straight into the center, comes out clean. I'm not worried about making holes in the top because most people like to have it with some kind of topping. So, but that's baked. Now it needs to be cooled completely before you could slice that and enjoy it. So once you've baked it all the way through your pumpkin pie, you would see it's beautifully set up on the side here. It is a soft set, so that is still very soft on the inside. And you can serve it with whipped cream, or in this case it's called it is actually a cocoa whip, so it is a dairy-free sort of whipped topping. You can serve it with ice cream. Again, you can also find dairy-free ice cream. It's absolutely delicious, and it's even delicious just on its own, pumpkin pie. And it is dairy and gluten-free, and just wonderful. And I hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching the Dietary Restriction Kitchen, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye for now.